So this is the end of box 3, bag 7, and most of the parts have gone to defining, I'll say, the top and the rear end. Now I have fenders. I've got I don't know if this is the end of the rear hatch. It doesn't actually open though, which is a little disappointing. But it does frame the engine kind of nicely. Like I said, this also gives me more definition for the roof, and that tube that was started in I'll say, what is it, bag 5, now has a home, and it wraps up and connects to the back side of this little piece right here, which actually isn't. It actually pivots. So watch for what's going to happen with that. Now the one thing that this part added was the spoiler, which will pop up. Now this supposedly gets controlled by a key, and I'm not sure where that is. Getting to be quite a lug here. Okay, so I see this yellow shaft right there that turns when I extend this thing. So it might just be that the key goes in this side. I thought it went in the other side. But anyway, so we have the spoiler, and we actually have these looks like exhaust ducts. One thing that I've noticed is that fender isn't really, these fenders aren't really secured yet. So one thing I noticed, I had sort of been thinking that I could get access to the back side of the engine for a electric motor connection, and that's getting less and less likely. There's more stuff getting piled in front of it. See, I thought I could take that yellow piece off inside there and get to the shaft on the end of that one gear, and that's not gonna happen, I don't think. I'm going to end up with just too much stuff for that. So now I'm starting to think that maybe what I need to do, and this is something I could do for the Porsche as well, is to build a special little mount, frame, whatever, on that this would sit on right side up, but that it would have a like a pinion that would reach up inside the bottom of the chassis, and maybe tag one of these. Now I can turn it upside down. Let's tag one of these gears here. I don't know if there's another gear, possibly this one here, because this is the main drive line through the body. Anyway, tag one of these gears such that I could actually have it sitting on a stand, and it would basically power the drivetrain, and you could exercise the gears and the transmission and so on. Anyhow, so again, for the most part, this thing is pretty robust. These fenders, there's some more parts coming to really finish securing the fenders into the rest of the body. But anyhow, so that's the end of bag 7, and I'm heading on into bag 8. So this is the end of box 3, bag 8. I got it sitting on this bonus set that they sent, and it's almost the perfect stand for doing so, which is kind of funny. So what got added here? There's some pieces here, these sideboards, but most of the work has been in the back. So I've added all of this out of bag 8, these sides here. So now it's supposedly it's onto the interior, and they said how to match. So it's apparently a challenge to try to find materials and so on such that they can make the interior as luxurious as the real thing. So one thing I've concluded, ultimately I still want to power this thing, power the drivetrain, and I kept looking underneath to see if I could catch a gear or something to do so. And the fact is, what I really need to do is to connect to the engine, which means I'm back to there. And what I can tell so far is that yellow part right there really doesn't do much. It just really doesn't do much. It kind of serves as a stop for, it may be a stop for this, the spoiler, but actually the spoiler is hitting the body. So again, that part right there is kind of remarkably useless. So what I'd have to do is pry that out of there, which I think I can kind of get in from the sides with like maybe a long screwdriver or something, and pop that out along with that little beige little nubbin that's on there. So just take that whole yellow part out. That gets me access to the engine. And then I guess a universal and a 4-fluted shaft. But I'd have to come out through here at an angle, which is not very elegant. But it's like whatever works. But that's the only hope I have of trying to power the drivetrain in this thing. There's no other access to the front of the engine. That's really buried. There's no shaft on the front of the engine, actually. There's a gear down in there that connects it to the transmission, but the engine is high enough in the chassis that there really isn't any way to get to any gear that's associated with the engine connecting to the transmission but below it. So that's kind of the status of things. One other thing, I've started doing the decals differently. I'm using some 400 grit sandpaper to lightly roughen up the surface, and then I wipe it down with alcohol and then put the stickers on. The idea here is to make the stickers last longer. I guess I have to go over and look at the Porsche. I don't know if any of those stickers have peeled. I know I've got the Ferrari Formula 1. The stickers have peeled like crazy, and I don't know why. Something to do with that batch of ABS or something, that there's some mold release or something on the parts that doesn't come off with just alcohol. So that's why I started trying to use some 400 grit sandpaper. I could probably go to 800 grit, just enough to break the surface. I kind of overdid this, because I wasn't exactly sure how much the sticker was going to cover. I thought it was going to cover more of this. So it goes. Learning curve. Anyway, so on to box 4.